If I concentrate, there's a little low rumble, but besides that, it's completely imperceptible. I can turn off the engine right now. Okay. And then turn it back on again. It just... So behind me is a Mercedes-Benz GLE 450, AMG line, CKD, 4Matic. Or as I say, the Mercedes-Benz GLE because it makes people jealous. Oof. Like and subscribe, guys. Also, it is a flexmobile through and through, a statement piece, because it costs 545,000 ringgit, and it's huge. Yes, it's big, but not really at the same time. It fits in normal parking spaces and everything else. It's even shaped quite conventionally. But it has presence, a lot of presence. Is it tanky? No, I wouldn't say so. Is it brutish? No, not really. Its rivals include the BMW X5 and the Volvo XC90, which in Malaysia are only sold as plug-in hybrids. So if you're not into all that electrification stuff, the GLE might be up your alley. It's still slightly electrified though, if you know what a mild hybrid means. I would say it's like a yacht. Yachts are expensive, #flex, and this would be the perfect SUV to park at a swanky marina to get to your yacht. So, roof rails, classical SUV roofline, and this very classical, very distinct rearmost window, which is kind of a staple for the GLE, which also carried over from the ML class that this replaces. Mercedes-Benz do have a history of having like unique little callbacks like this, like the unique extended window line of the E-Class Coupe, which is replaced now by the CLE, which is a shame. And it sits so solidly on the ground. Look at it from the back over here. It looks so muscular, even though it's nothing really special, it's just an SUV shape. The hips really widen at the sides over here. And look, speaking of muscularity, they have actually 315mm wide Sport Contact 6 Continental tires on a luxury SUV with air suspension. I mean, it's wearing 21-inch wheels, which is fine, but from the back, it looks so fat, like an 911 Turbo. It's kind of crazy. But if someone's behind you and they're intimidated by your massive car, they hopefully won't notice the fact that you have fake exhaust pipes. The rest of it is basically the same V167 GLE that's been around since what, 2019? This is technically a facelift, one launched in Malaysia back in April. Let's go through all the list of new things. It won't take long, don't worry. The new front bumper, slightly different new headlights with different pattern DRLs, and the new grille with a 3-pointed star pattern. Oh, and this thing in the center of the grille has more holes. Yeah, big deal. It's one of those facelifts that I would struggle to spot, not just from far away, but even medium distance. I don't think I can tell this is the facelift, and I actually prefer the old style DRL pattern. Here we are, one of my favorite parts of this car, the engine itself. It is a straight 6 engine from Mercedes-Benz, okay? 3-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder, super silky smooth. This is really going to compete against BMW, which is famous for straight 6 engines. 381 PS, 500 Newton meters of torque, 0 to 100 in 5.6 seconds, and in between that you have a 9-speed automatic gearbox and a 4Matic all-wheel drive system. So inside the GLE, very nice cabin. It's modern but has kind of an old school charm to it. It's not the turbine style air vents, it's more, you know, squared off like this, but you do get some fine touches as well over here, like oak wood veneer, very nice, and everything just feels very solid, very high quality. The sense of solidity in this car is very high, very pronounced. It may not have the super modernity of like an EQS SUV, but it does have a kind of old world charm. I would say even like an old money charm. I want to see more color variety. It's just too claustrophobic in this interior because everything literally is black. The oak veneer thingy is black. All the trim is black. Let's get it clear, guys. Black interior, black on black on black interior is boring. Okay, underline that. It's boring. It's boring. It's boring. You do get a decent amount of storage in here, and by decent I mean pretty good. This is a really large glove compartment. Center cubby over here, not that deep. We can store a few things in there. I got my wallet and keys resting very nicely. Center console, you have 2 cup holders which can hold this big water bottle, big-ish water bottle. It says Volvo here, but let's ignore that, okay? And it has a wireless charger over here. Closes up nicely, and of course this bottle can be stored down here in the door pocket as well, which is okay in size. 2 USB-C slots next to the wireless charger. Center storage area, 1 USB here, USB-C again, and behind here, USB-C, 2 of them. So up front, you notice the MBUX system is very, very similar. You have a 12.3-inch screen over here and double that for the driver's display. You get a wireless charger because you also have wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, and it's piped out through a 13-speaker premium Burmester sound system, which to me, Burmester, I just think Mercedes-Benz, but apparently they do a lot more automotive stuff than I thought. They even make sound systems for Ferrari with the Pure Sang, for Porsche with the Taycan, and the Panamera and the Cayenne. I mean, among some of them, and even Bugatti. So you order Bugatti, let's say you want to buy the Bugatti Tourbillon, you can actually have it with a Burmester sound system. That's pretty cool. And of course, Mercedes-Benz's steering wheel game is on point. I love this shape. I love how it feels in the hand. The touch points are just where you want it to be. It's very nice to just kind of like grab onto it and drive spiritedly. Even the pedal shifters, they feel like milled aluminium, but behind here is sort of like plastic material, but it feels as solid as aluminium. These are touch sensitive buttons which don't ever feel good. Yes, they work sometimes, but they're very hit or miss, okay? And it's frustrating to use when you want to be precise about what you're going to do with your screen and controls over here. Secondly, this material here, and the fact that it feels so good to touch, is Nappa leather. But all the materials that you touch and all the materials that you think is leather isn't leather. It's a material called Artico leather, which is not actually leather. It's a synthetic material. So, I mean, a synthetic leather, a fake leather, maybe even leatherette, in a Mercedes-Benz and in a high-end Mercedes-Benz, is this like a green thing or is this a money-saving thing? Because even Volvo, who historically has been going after the green, eco-friendly angle anytime they can, uses Nappa leather in the XC90 for basically everything. And in the X5, they have leather as well. They call it merino leather. But I don't get why this is a more expensive car, but you have fake leather. I mean, it's not like it feels bad. Actually, it feels pretty good, but it just stings to know that it isn't as premium as it could be. But one area where the GLE kind of like thumbs its nose at the X5 is third row seats. But it's kind of a joke because it is not really very accommodating, even for someone smaller like me. When I sit down over here, there's barely any space, really. Even for Asian kids, I don't think they have enough space. I barely have any knee room. There's no thigh support. The actual floor is very high up. My knees are way up in the air. Like I said, for Asian kids, I don't think they'd be very happy over here. They'd be really claustrophobic. And think about the German kids. The German kids would not fit. So, Mr. Boss Man, Miss Boss Woman, if you're a high flyer, you have no time to drive yourself around, get a friend. That's what they're there for, to drive you around. So life in the back seats is really quite plush. You've made it, okay? Knee room, plenty. Under thigh support, plenty. Headroom could be better. But you do have, you know, an armrest, nothing special. Put your arm over here, comfy. Bottle fits right there. This is for smaller cans. This bottle goes into the door pocket nicely. You also get a climate vent over here by the B pillar. Very Volvo-like, actually. And of course, over here as well, you have quad zone climate control. So instead of just having two zones in front, or one at the back, one at the front, you also get one for the rear passenger on the right and the left. You also get a window shade, like a luxury car should, and also a window for the rear that goes all the way down. There you go. And even if you do have the shade up, okay, it's not exactly bright and cheery in here. In fact, it's quite gloomy and a little bit dark, to be honest, because everything is black, literally. Hi, Mercedes, open the roof sun visor. Okay, so you see, it does have a panoramic sunroof, which does a lot to just bring some life into the back seats over here. Oh, almost forgot. I have seat controls for the second row seats, so I can actually push the seat back and recline my seat if I want to. Now this is how a boss lives. And look, even if I had third row passengers, who cares? Their crushed legs is nothing compared to my comfort. All right, with the third row seats up, Mercedes-Benz won't actually tell me how much boot space this actually amounts to, but you know, you can fit a decently sized bag in here. It's usable. But if you fold the seats down, the third row, you get 630 liters of space. And nicely, you also have a completely flat load floor. No load lip to speak of. And you also have, because this is an air suspension riding car, I think they call it airmatic suspension, You can actually lower the car a little bit by pushing on this little button. So I guess you have a little bit more of a good time, of an easy time loading your bag, you know, up and down this way. Did it do it? Did it do it? Still doing it. If you do want to have all the seats folded down, you get a class-leading 2,055 liters. And of course, that's done with electricity. It'll take a while. The yacht pulls away nicely, cleanly. It is so smooth. You don't recognize you've got an engine, other than the fact the low rumble gets a little bit more voluminous. It just kind of grows in volume. It doesn't actually like get louder. It just grows in volume. And when you're in a slow moving situation like this, you really do appreciate how good this 48 volt mild hybrid system is. I think they call it ISG, right? Intelligent Starter Generator. Great. But what you need to know is that it's super smooth, okay? You come to a standstill, the car just shuts off. And the same thing happens when you coast to a stop. The engine just shuts off. You have no idea it's happening until you look, you happen to be looking at the gauge cluster, you've got the rev counter over there, and it just drops to zero. You have no other sensation that it's happening. You save fuel, and then it comes back on again when you need it to so instantaneously that you wonder, hey, is this an EV? Am I just turning on an E motor? Is this an engine? There are moving parts? How is there moving parts? It's just so smooth. There's a surprising way it handles the bumps, because it doesn't handle it exactly like it's actually, you know, kind of yachting across the water, across the road. There is a certain busyness to it, because I think that is to do with the thick and hard sidewalls of those Sport Contact 6 tires. You just can't escape it. Those are UHP tires. Those are meant for sporty cars, for AMG cars, not a GLE AMG line necessarily. I'm surprised that they actually fitted that tire. However, how does a yacht feel to handle? Gets up to speed really quickly. That is 160. Or, you know, I'm speed limit, guys. I'm at the speed limit. That is way too fast. Brakes are actually quite strong. Ooh, this is a really heavy SUV. You can feel it. You can feel the inertia just packing into the front nose right there. But the steering actually is very direct. It's almost like you're driving like a C-Class and A-Class. That's how good the steering is. It feels so connected. Is that the wheels? Is that the tires? That package, 21-inch wheels with Sport Contact 6 tires. Nothing to mess with, guys. Oh, brake. It's so smooth, even if you rev it out. You rev this thing out and it's still so silky. BMW, better watch out. And it's so linear. Okay, boost. You can feel the boost, but it's not overwhelming. I was driving the BYD Seal. I was driving the MG4 X-Power. Those cars are objectively so much quicker off the line. You get instant torque, but you don't have that sense of visceral, like, fury of an ICE car, of an ICE engine, a powerful one. It's just a different sensation. It makes you more on edge. It just heightens the senses. For the most part, you will be overtaking cars like nobody's business in the GLE. It is not a matter of argument. You will just overtake, and you will pass them along, especially if they're in like a smaller car. You will pass them along. They will feel your wind wall. You know when you're driving an Axia or a Viva and a truck overtakes you, or you're overtaking a truck and suddenly you are hit by this wall of wind as you pass this front end. I think you'll have that effect a little bit with this car. Just saying. Usually what happens in a car when I get it for the first time is that I go to settings and I turn almost everything off. All the lane keep stuff. Do not alert me if there's something in my blind spot. Do not alert me and vibrate the steering wheel and tug on the steering wheel when I'm drifting into the other lane. Don't disturb me. If I'm about to crash, intervene. Get in the way to save my life. But otherwise, don't bother me. Stay away from me. This car, I don't know if it's actually like pre-programmed or programmed by the previous person to drive it, but I have not had to go into the settings and tweak it. It is unobtrusive. And yet, I know it is there. It has all the usual things. The list goes on, right? It has all those pre-collision stuff. So AEB, pedestrian detection. It's got blind spot monitoring, like I said. It's got lane keep assist. It's got a 360 cam, so that's really, really useful for parking. It's just got you covered, guys. The list is long, and everyone has a different name for every single feature that should be called AEB, blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, and all that stuff. Mercedes Driving Assistant Plus. So Google that, and yeah, list down all the features. In terms of the driving experience, if you want to feel like you've made it, this car delivers. This car delivers that boss driving experience in a way that I think the GLC can't deliver. I think even the E-Class can't deliver. This is a cut above even the E-Class. The E-Class is supposed to be a non-SUV version of this, or this is supposed to be the SUV version of the E-Class. But this is just more. It's just more. It's just more of it. More, better. There you go. My English is so good. It's more better than the E-Class. Emotional damage. It is a flexmobile, and everyone knows it is a step up in terms of price over the X5 and definitely over the Volvo. So this is announcing to the world that you have the money. But the thing is, it isn't for everybody. It isn't the fastest or the most practical. In fact, if you're going for fuel economy, just buy the Volvo. If you want something more sporty and youthful, if that's possible, get the X5. But if you want something that looks and feels and will kind of signal your wealth like a yacht would, this is your SUV. It's extra, but that's why it's cool.